Thanks for tuning in again to Beyond the Brink and Fighting Back. I'm your host, Rosemary Armao. Faithful listeners know that I've long promised in these podcasts to introduce you to some of the interesting and very smart people that I have met doing journalism for the last half century. Deb Gordon, who is my guest today, is one of those people. We worked together back, gosh, Deb, it was the 1980s. Oh, we're so old. She has spent
Late
more
80s,
than
yeah.
30 she has spent more than 30 years writing about medical issues, both for newspaper readers, that's one thing, but also for the businesses and clinicians who are in healthcare. But that's not why she's here today. We're not going to talk very much about health. She is the star of this chapter for the same reason that a few weeks ago I brought you another colleague from a different newspaper, I might add, who has responded to the Trump era political climate with an unusual move. Her move was to start law school at the age of 70. Deb and her husband Keith recently came to a life-changing decision that I want her to tell us about. Deb, you live in Virginia now, but I understand not for long.
Nope, we have less than 2 weeks, and then we are moving to Portugal.
To Portugal.
To
Well,
Portugal.
okay, back this up now. You live not only live now in Virginia, but that's always been your home, except for some
Yeah,
moving thereabout. But that's home, and so you've not never lived abroad before.
no, I haven't. My husband has. He's Scottish, so he has UK citizenship, and he also did his PhD in Australia, and then of course he came here. So he's much more experienced at this than me.
Okay, so how did you decide? First, tell us why you decided to leave. Then I'm going to ask you how you picked Portugal and not say Australia or Scotland.
Right. Well, I have good reason for not for either of those. Uh, I would say we started looking at it about 2 years ago. In terms of leaving the country, we didn't know what was going to happen with the election, so we just thought, well, let's just start exploring. Um, the election happened, and things started to get more serious.
Oh
A
yeah.
friend of ours moved to Portugal by herself. This was a year ago, so she was 70. And we kept following her Facebook posts. And we thought, well, if she can do it, let's take a look. So it's been almost 2 years of doing our homework. We started with working with a company that helps Americans come over. I've been on
To
Facebook.
relocate, you mean? International relocations, that sort of
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, but they specialize in Americans. It's run by an American couple, and they've been there about 7 years. And after giving advice to everyone, they started their own company. So they kind of hold your hand. We it really we went over on a scouting trip with them. So about a year ago, year and a half ago, we went over to look at different areas in the country. We had sort of already, between talking to people and researching it, decided where we wanted to be, it's called the Silver Coast. It's right on the coast, which,
Hmm.
having grown up in Norfolk, definitely is important to me. And my husband's a big
Nice.
fisherman. And there's a big expat community there, so it would help with the soft landing. And then we're like, okay, well, let's just we'll go back in April or May, and we'll start looking for a place. And then, well, then the inauguration happened, and it was way worse than I expected. I mean, I knew it would be bad, but I really didn't think it would be that bad in just a week. I spiraled. I'll just put it this way. We were on a safari in South Africa when we bought our apartment unseen in Nazaré, Portugal.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I tend to do things quickly.
Was it his inaugural address or the flurry of executive orders in that first week? All of the above?
Yes,
Healthcare. I mean, that's been long your
it
interest.
was realizing that it was going to be magnitudes worse than we thought.
Yeah.
And it is. It has been. And it's interesting because when we started this journey, a lot of people said to us, we're overreacting. And we should just look, you only have 4 years. You can hold out for 4 years. And I said, you don't really understand what's happening here. This is not just about one person. This is about what's happened to our country, that our country, enough people think this is okay to put this administration in place and be this cruel. And I said, I can't live with that. And so why Portugal versus Australia or Scotland? Well, Scotland is certainly, Keith would really be happy if we were moving back to Scotland. But I'm sorry, but the weather sucks. He will try to tell me, he tells me over and over, it doesn't. He says climate change is coming. Said I'll be dead by
It's
then. But look, in the summer, last summer, my sister-in-law and her husband had their fire going. Okay. That's not going to happen. In the winter, it gets light at 10 a.m. and dark at 3 p.m.
you are
So
still a Southern
much as,
girl.
yeah. And I'm like, no, it would have been a million times easier. Australia's too far. We actually were in New Zealand a couple years ago and loved it, but it's just too far. We have 3 children. Two of them are in the US. We have 3 boys, all married. 2 are in the US. We have 3 grandchildren in the US.
Oh,
And it was just going to be too far, you know. I mean, it's a 6 hour
well,
flight from Portugal here. So,
Portugal, that's pretty far too to be away from children and grandchildren.
well,
How did
our
they feel about this move?
our oldest son and his wife, who have the grandkids, they have three children. They live in Park City, Utah. It takes us an entire day to get there to begin with.
Right,
And they're also very, very busy. We just don't get to see them that often.
right.
I think they're very supportive as long as we come back every year for Thanksgiving. That was the requirement.
That's their condition. Hmm.
That's their condition. And then the youngest, who's here in the States, he lives in Richmond, which isn't that far. I think but again, we don't see he and his wife very often. They're really busy. And I think he might be struggling a little more with it in terms of maybe some abandonment issues. I don't know. But,
Hmm.
he's turning 30 and he has his life and I have my life. Now, the best part of the story is our middle son and his wife are with the diplomatic corps, State Department.
Oh, wow.
And so they are on their second posting, which is in Frankfurt. Their first was in Madagascar. And she's pregnant. They just learned about their next posting, which will start in October. And against all odds, it's Lisbon.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's like the
It was a sign. I mean, there's been
foreordained, isn't it?
signs all along that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about the mentality of people like you. And there's an increasing number of them who are becoming expats. I guess Rosie O'Donnell is probably the most famous of them. She galloped out of town. George Clooney just took on French citizenship. So you're not alone in this at all. Back in 2017, I don't know if you remember this, I was a tenured professor, head of the journalism program at UAlbany, and I
Mhm.
left. I just couldn't see the point of writing reports required by the university that no one would even read, much less act on, when Donald Trump was attacking the media.
Everything.
We were the enemy of the people. So I went back overseas. I had worked there previously, and I spent two
I
years
do remember
working,
that. Yes.
yeah, working
We're all
in
over.
Jordan.
Yeah.
I love the idea of teaching young people there who grow up in a very a very authoritative
Yeah.
government system, how to question and criticize government. But I ended up coming back much earlier than I thought it would because my mother was elderly and needed
Right.
someone to stay with her.
Right.
So I am looking at this now. Tell us about the mentality. Why is this, in your view, different than just surviving 4 years?
Well, I think it's important, and Keith and I talked about this a lot when we were making this decision, that it was important. Oh, that it was important that we not just be running from something, but that we be moving towards something. We couldn't just say we're leaving the country because of what's happening in the country. There had to be more to it than that. I can't stay in this country for many reasons at this point. Again, like I said earlier, the fact that so many people in this country thinks what's happening is okay says to me that I can't be
Not
around
going
these
to
people.
change.
I mean,
Yeah.
I literally can't, and I'm sorry, But if you voted for him and you don't regret it deeply, then I can have nothing to do with you, and I do not see you as a good person. Um, I'm Jewish, and one thing, and my therapist showed me this after the inauguration when everything started happening, I obviously start panicking. And I'm like, I don't understand why this is affecting me so much. And she showed me that being Jewish, it's literally in our DNA to escape. And so I think that also is part of it. I mean, I'm not a practicing Jew, but I am Jewish. And that I think has also been part of it. This need to, I mean, frantic need to escape. I
Mhm.
mean, when
I have to say it is discouraging that now all the headlines are about Trump's plunging popularity. The polls are all down, but still, it's between 30 and 40% of the country are still cool with this.
yeah,
I can see why why that is
I
discouraging.
don't want
It's
to be in
much,
a room with those people. I
yeah,
just don't want to associate with them. Where we're moving, all the expats, with maybe a handful of exceptions, are on the same side. Um, Portugal itself is relatively center, a little left of center. They just
right.
elected a new president by the most people voting ever, and that's after horrendous storms they've had the past 6 weeks. And he to beat out the right wing candidate. So, it's hopeful. We're not moving there thinking that it's going to be, as I said in my Facebook post, unicorns and rainbows. Um, but it is the things we're moving towards is that it is incredibly a safer country. I think it's ranked in the top 10 safest countries in the world. Um, the quality of life in terms of the speed of life, how people interact with each other, the community in terms of like cafes, the restaurants, the food, the wine, the weather. Generally,
Wine.
they wouldn't say that.
Wine. I've been
Yeah,
to
wine's
Portugal.
important.
It's
Yeah.
an extremely attractive country. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And they drink more wine than any other country in the
Oh,
world
the
per
port is
capita.
amazing.
Yeah.
I think I said back to you when you posted on this on Facebook, I hope you have one or two guest rooms there
Yeah. Me too.
to take in refugees or at least
Yes.
visitors from America.
Yeah. The
What about
weather is generally good, and the cost of living, while it's not as much lower as it used to be, even just 3 years ago, it's still better in some ways. I'm not going to say we're probably going to take a financial hit because of what's happening with the
right?
euro, but we're
Yeah, the
willing to
euros, the dollar slipped now against the euro.
quite a
So,
lot. We're losing 15% on every dollar
oof.
we transfer over. Yeah.
So you're gonna basically go over and live on retirement savings and pensions, or
So my husband is going to keep working. He works for a large global pharmaceutical company, and he decided he wasn't ready to retire. So they have a Lisbon office. So he was able to move his employment to that office, but he'll work from where
wait,
we live remotely. So he'll keep working for at least another couple of years. But initially, yes, the plan was passive income. That was the visa we were originally going over on. Passive income, which is you just have to show that you have enough money in the bank or from Social Security or from whatever, a certain amount of money coming in every year and for that visa.
right.
But the nice thing is he's going to work for a couple more years, so we don't have to start taking that money out yet.
That's very good. Okay,
I told him
the other
can't.
big barrier, the difficulty that I had going to, I actually made money going to Jordan. I had lots of money with
Yeah,
American salary for the company I
yeah.
was working for in that economy, but I could never crack Arabic a bit. And Portuguese is not easy either.
That's one of the downsides is it's a very challenging language. He and I have been we were doing twice weekly Zoom lessons with a tutor since May. We stopped that a few weeks ago because we were traveling so much. And also we wanted a different approach. Her approach wasn't quite working for us. So I'm already in touch with another tutor to start right
Mhm.
when we get there. We want to focus on conversational first, and
Of
we'll get into
course.
grammar later. And then there are lots of classes. So I almost really want to call them immigrants instead of expats, because expats suggest you're coming back, and we have no intention of coming back. So I'm trying to call ourselves immigrants. Most of them over there, they're our age or even older. They are trying their best with the language. Some are more successful than others. The Portuguese are a very forgiving people.
Yeah.
And as long as you're trying, and they
Yeah.
often want to practice their English, but as long as you're trying and you're not living in that American bubble, I think that's what's most important. Keith and I will try to learn this language till the day we die or leave Portugal.
Oh, I
That's
tried
all
to
I can
learn.
promise, but I can promise we will try. We will spend hours and hours a week doing it.
I did try to learn Bosnian when I was living there, another escape from America in my
Yeah.
life. And my accent is just, I sound like a New Yorker even when
Oh,
I'm speaking
well,
English.
actually,
It's
our tutor
horrible.
told us that by the age of 10, the accent is there. If you try to learn a language after that, it just
You'll
doesn't.
still have it. You'll still have,
Yeah.
but my very patient, wonderful instructor there said, "Look, you may never speak it perfectly or even fluently, but if you keep at it, you'll know more now than you did yesterday, and that's
Exactly.
that's
And
good.
that's our philosophy. Yeah.
We're talking with Deb Gordon, who is an old co-worker with me back from the 1980s. She is a longtime writer on medical and healthcare issues. And she and her husband, Keith, and their dog, I have to talk to you about that, have made a decision to emigrate from the United States because of the politics here. Because of what's going on in the country, they're making a decision to leave America. What would you say to people who, unlike me, who I think this is a heroic and difficult and brave decision, call you, a traitor, a coward? What do you say to that? What's your argument back?
And I think that's how our youngest son feels about us. I would say that I am 63. My husband's almost 65. We have limited time left. And this is how we choose to spend our life. I choose not to spend my life in a country where I do not, where nothing feels familiar. And everything that is happening at that level, at that political level, at the government level, is against anything I believe. And
Wow.
to stay here would be so, I think, dangerous for my mental health and my physical health. And this is simply where you can think that we're running away. We're simply moving to another country to be healthy. We will continue to vote at the national level. I've already joined a Democrats Abroad group.
Hmm.
Uh, all of the protests that have been held in this country, our friends over there have protested, have gone to Lisbon to do their own protests, or Porto. The Americans and also Portuguese are all joining in.
Now you've said that you're not going to move back to America. You are leaving, and that is it, except to visit at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah, to visit the kids.
Yeah, if they let you in, because we don't know that. I mean,
Well,
you're a
yeah,
traitor. Trump may just
of
stop you from
course.
coming back in. But anyway, I'm joking, of course. If you get to Portugal and it doesn't work, and you've written about this too, you have a plan then too, a backup plan. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, our whole lives, we've moved from Virginia to California to Pennsylvania to Virginia to Chicago back to Virginia. And every time our philosophy is, what is the worst that can happen? So what is the worst that can happen with this? It doesn't work out. We don't like it. We go to a different country, whether that is a different country in Europe, or maybe it's Costa Rica, or it's Panama, or it's Uruguay. There's lots of other countries that are very friendly to American immigrants. But our thinking is, and this is where I think a lot of people don't aren't able to live their life. They're so worried that things will go wrong, and they don't sit down and say,
Right.
what is the worst that happens? The worst that happens is, yes, we've spent a fair amount of money. We have bought property, but it's a really good investment. We'll be able to sell it. and
Mm-hmm.
we'll just move somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Have you
neat.
sold your property in Virginia
Oh
already?
yeah, we've sold everything we own.
Oh, tell us about that. You had a big garage sale?
Oh, well, we sold our house in the summer to actually a friend of mine. I had five people lined up to buy it. She was first in line. I said, "This is what the price is. Take it or leave it." And so she bought
She
it.
did.
She bought almost all the furniture.
Wow.
She, I left her all the kitchen stuff. We and everything else we have sold or given away or donated.
So when you get on that plane, what will you be carrying?
So we have brought some things over, just a few things. For instance, my husband is a fisherman and a golfer. So we went over in January. He brought one of his fishing rods and his uh, golf clubs and another bag. We each get three free check bags, and I brought three. He actually is on his way to Spain right now, but for work, but he's going through Lisbon, so he could bring three more bags. Another, yeah, I know, another fishing rod and his guitar and a bag, a suitcase.
Well, now
Um,
what are you bringing? You are
yeah.
people who don't know you don't and don't read your Facebook page would not know that Devin is an amazing fitness person. She is in
Uh,
such good shape. I'm just I can't look at you. I'm a couch potato. So your dumbbells, your equipment, is that
we
all being
sold
shipped
all
over?
of that. We sold every piece of
Wow.
everything. We had a full garage gym. We started the process in the summer. And then by mid-November, we sold our house in late summer. We rented it back. Mid-November, we moved into an Airbnb with just what we
Wow.
needed for the Airbnb and what we were going to bring to Portugal. And I wanted that separation between our house and
Yeah.
leaving. I didn't want it to all at once hit me. And that's been really good. So what am I bringing? Well, I thought I would be bringing more until yesterday. I said, Keith, how much extra is an extra bag to check? And he looked it up. I mean, I've been asking people all day, what do you think it is? How much do you think it is to check an extra bag? Everybody's like 50, 80,
100.
$200.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have gone through my wardrobe at least four times, and I will be going through it again. So
Hmm.
we can each take, well, we can take a total of six pieces with us, and he can take one carry-on. I'm going to have the dog, who's my carry-on. And so he has agreed that he can get all his stuff in two, and I can have four. And I just ordered on Amazon the vacuum thing, to get all the air out.
Yeah. Yeah. Suck out all
But
the
I will
air.
still be going back through it's back through my clothes and I had 44 sweaters. Who needs 44 sweaters? He went through his t-shirts. He had 45 t-shirts he got rid of.
Yeah, we're a materialistic people. That's
Very, and I'm telling you that just this exercise of letting go of things has been so freeing. It's been, you just realize I thought I couldn't let that go. I don't need that.
wow.
I went through photos. We've been through, I mean, we shipped a small pallet over with art and just a few things. My father's knife that I got when he
Yeah.
died, two cast iron pans, I mean, really, it's not that bad. I think Keith said, because he was in charge of it, that was on his list. It was like 25 boxes,
Hmm.
small boxes, not huge
Right.
boxes.
Right.
And that's it. And
I,
I guarantee that half of that
okay.
stuff we're still going to wind up getting rid of.
The moving is the most brave part to me. My mother recently died, and I live in the house. It's a huge house, and I'm in it all alone. And I fluctuate I should sell. I want to travel. I don't need this house. And then it's like, oh my God, I'd have to pack. I can't.
Well,
It's so
you don't
hard.
have to. You can just call an estate people to come do it.
Yeah. And they get rid of
We,
everything.
yeah, and we
Yeah.
didn't have that issue because we were lucky that the woman who bought our house bought all the furniture
Yeah.
and the few pieces she didn't want. I had people that did want it. And the other thing is we started this process in June or July. So we haven't tried to do it suddenly,
Yeah,
but I
this
think,
is long and deliberate.
mhm,
And so, Deb, you talk to people. You've been there and talked to other immigrants in
mhm.
Portugal. Are they all leaving for similar reasons? Is this a trend that we're going to see more of?
Yeah, I mean, yes, that this has been a huge, most of the people we've met over there have been there 4 years or less. If they're there any longer, they came over during the 2016 regime. But most of the people we've met are there 2 years, maybe three.
That's
And
pretty telling.
many more, much less. And yes, this was a huge part of their decision.
And that's
Everyone
only
has
one
left
country.
kids. Everyone
Oh,
has left grandkids.
yeah.
Everyone has left everything. Now, almost all of them are retired, except, Keith won't be retired yet.
Hmm.
But yes, this is a huge thing. And after the election, the company that we've been working with, all of a sudden it exploded, the number of Americans
Name
who,
the country. Some of my listeners might be
oh,
interested
sure,
in this.
Portugal, the place. They're awesome. They're
Okay.
just amazing. And they will help you with everything. So, and Colleen, who's one of the owners, she told me that after the election and then the inauguration, that they couldn't even keep up with the number of people who wanted to set up calls.
Wow. I
And
mean, and this isn't even Canada, where many people threaten to go as well, or to
yeah,
other
yeah.
countries. Ireland has gotten
Yes, I
immigrants
have
from.
friends that his mother was Irish, or his grandparents, and so he just got his Irish citizenship. Our son, our middle son, our oldest son is from my practice marriage, but our middle son, because Keith is Scottish, is still Scottish, still has his UK citizenship. He just went ahead and got his as well as a
Yeah,
backup.
that's smart. That's smart these
Mhm.
days. So, in this long process of studying and research, did you look at alternatives to moving? Are there other ways to escape that don't involve selling everything you own and leaving family behind and going overseas? Did you consider other alternatives?
Well, we'd have to leave our family behind if we left the country. But we didn't, to be honest, and this strikes me as kind of strange, but we didn't spend a lot of time looking at other countries at the time because we already felt like we had this connection with Portugal with a couple people we knew that were already there.
Yeah.
Um, if you look at the main countries like Spain, Portugal, France, and Italy, they all are kind of similar. They all have pros and cons. Um, France doesn't tax your Social Security or your pensions. That's a big plus for France. Portugal does. Spain does. Um, but but the other countries also have a long 10 years to citizenship, which is an issue for us because I don't think that far ahead. But
Are
Portugal,
you considering giving up U.S. citizenship
no,
and
you don't
becoming?
have to give it up. You just have dual citizenship, like Keith has dual citizenship.
Okay, so you are considering doing that.
If we're there in 10 years, I mean, so Portugal is possibly changing its requirement. Right
Right,
now,
a
it's
lot of them
5 years.
are. Mhm.
Right. Yeah. And they're probably the lowest in Europe, which is why they're getting a lot of immigrants from Africa and other places who see it as an easy way to get an EU passport and then to move
Interesting.
out of the country. So we'll see. That's not a big deal.
Well, that was a great answer, and that's why I kept you talking. But my real question was not about alternative places to move to, but alternatives to moving. You said that it's kind of in your genes now that you want to get away, but you never considered, okay, as many people are, I count myself among them, I need to stay and fight, or I need to make a stand here, or I don't know what else there is. That was not part of your thinking.
My thinking is that I can do what I'm doing here over there. I mean, what
Mhm.
am I doing? I go to protests, I give money, I call my representatives. What else am I capable
That's
of doing that I can't do from over there?
marching and protesting, you can do that there. Mhm.
Yeah. Um, for my mental health with a history of severe depression, there was no way
Oh yeah.
that I could do this.
Well,
It's just, and it's both of us. I mean, he's much healthier than me, but we have not questioned this
okay. How
because
about
we
Pino?
are
Has he
both so,
questioned this? Oh,
sorry.
Pino, your puppy, has he questioned this whole move thing?
No, and Pinot actually has his EU passport because we took him over in the summer because to take a dog, you have to go through this USDA thing and it's very stressful because you only have 10 days to get the paperwork and it has to be actual paperwork. So we took Pinot over in the summer, early summer, to go through that process. And then you go to a vet there who gets him his EU passport. And so now we don't have to go through the USDA thing. Yeah,
That's
so he's
great.
all set. He's excited. It's very dog friendly. He went out a lot, got to go to restaurants. We even did a food tour in Porto, and he got to come in all the restaurants with us.
Okay, my last question is speculative one. And let me remind people who might just be tuning in now that this is Deb Gordon we're talking to. She's a old journalist friend of mine who has decided to leave the country rather than live in Trumplandia. So my
That's
last
good.
question is this. It might be too late right now. You're on the verge of moving, but is there anything or a set of things that could happen here that would change your mind, that would say, okay, we're back. I can deal with it now. I would come back to America.
So that's a good question. A lot of people say, what if one of your kids gets sick? I said, they all have great wives. Their wives are not going to want me there. But it is interesting because I just asked Keith that yesterday. I said, what if you found out tomorrow you had a brain tumor? Would you still want to move? And he said, yes. They have great health care over there. And I think that kind of says it all.
Well, again, a great answer, but
If
not
my
really to the
kids
question I asked because I came back for my mother who could not live alone
And if
anymore.
our kids
Couldn't
absolutely needed us and there was something that
you could do.
their wives could not provide, of course we're gonna come for our
Yeah,
kids.
family's still first.
Yeah.
What I really meant was, is there something that could happen in government, in Congress, or the rigged Supreme Court?
Oh, that's a good question.
Trump dies tomorrow and JD Vance comes in. Would could that change your mind?
No, because it isn't just about Trump anymore. It's about this sickness in our country, and it isn't going to go away. And I guess I was very naive when Obama was elected the first time. I mean, we sobbed, we stayed up all night. We even went to his inauguration and one of the inaugural balls.
Um,
I was never prouder of my country ever. I just thought, okay, we're there now. And to have seen what's happened since, and the other thing is healthcare and safety in this country are horrendous. I mean, I cover healthcare. Everyone thinks, oh, we have the best healthcare system in the world. We have one of the worst healthcare systems in the world. We spend more per capita than any other industrialized country and have the worst outcomes. And people can't afford healthcare. And safety, you know how nice it is whenever we're out of the country and we can be around a group of people, whether it's at a concert or whatever, and not worry about someone coming in and shooting us.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, when my son and daughter-in-law got married, it was right after the the Hamas attacks, and all I could think of in the venue was someone's going to come in here and shoot us. I don't want to live that way. I don't think anyone should, if you don't have to, should live that way. And I know what we're doing. We're very lucky. Look, we have the financial means to do it. We have Keith can work remotely. I can work remotely. So we're very lucky. Not everyone can do this.
Right, right. That's
And
true.
yeah, I mean, if our grandkids live next door and our other son lived, 15 minutes away and we had dinner twice a week, would that be
That'd be
different?
different.
It might be,
Yeah, yeah.
but you have to go with what you have now.
Mhm. Well, we have run out of time.
Oh,
We end this podcast. I don't know if you've listened to it before, Deborah, but we always end with a toast. And so the toast for this
wait, can
episode,
I go get my wine?
yes, you can. You have to have one.
Mercy.
I want to toast Deb and her family and wish you a bon voyage and the best of luck. And I also have been thinking about that old saying, a slur against protesters back in the Vietnam era, which was America, love it or leave it. And increasingly in the Trump regime, it's America, love it and leave it. And you are living that.